Alright, so starting with number 15, we have Super Mario Advance 3, Yoshi's Island for Game Boy Advance. Now, this game originally came out for Super Nintendo, but ever since kind of picking up handhelds, I've kind of had a thing for titles on Game Boy Advance. It's actually a really good time. It's dope how they just took Yoshi, made him the main character, and eating the enemies and then using them as eggs and then just throwing them. So, it's a really, really dope concept. Number 14, we have Maui Mallard and Cold Shadow for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, this game is on the list mainly because games of the 90s that came out by Disney Interactive, they all just hit right from the graphics standpoint to the gameplay and just overall characters. I never would have thought I'd be playing a game where Donald Duck got a blicky jumping around like he's Super Mario. So this game is definitely on there. It's a good time. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to check that out. I think it does not come with your system, but you want to add that on there. Number 13, we have Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. Now, honestly, this is my first time really playing this game for real. I have this game on just about every system, on every handheld that I've owned, but I just never really sat down and played it. So that's why you kind of see me just running around hitting buttons trying to really figure out the controls. But it made the list because, one, it's a Nintendo 64 game that actually runs smoothly because you have the two thumbsticks. That second thumbstick acts as that C stick, so you're able to control the camera with that second one, and then with the first one, you're just able to move around and control them just how you would with a regular controller. So Amber did a really, really good job with setting this up, and I definitely appreciate that. Overall, man, like, this game was actually pretty fun, and I do see myself sitting down and actually playing it long term and beating it. All right, so my number 12 is Pacman 20th Anniversary for the PS1. Now, this game is on here because I had a variation of this for Xbox growing up, for the original Xbox, and I ended up putting in a lot of hours on there. Like, this game made me realize that I like platformers, and it made me get a better understanding of what platformers are. This game is pretty dope because you get Pac-Man in like an adventure world, but then you also get like the original modes where, if you are a fan of the original Pac-Man, like the arcade version, they do have modes on there as well. It's a good addition to the game, and it feels really, really good to play it in 353vs. All right, number 11 is Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, this is one of the original games that I played for the Super Nintendo when I first got put onto the system. I remember my cousins, he had a lot of different games, and there's actually a few of them on this list, but this is just one I remember walking by the TV, and he was just hauling with Buster, right? I knew it was Tiny Toon Adventures. I didn't really know there was a platform at the time. I really didn't even understand what he was doing, but I just know I was kind of hooked at just watching these cartoon characters run across the screen and just doing things. So now that I'm older, I got a better understanding of the game, again, a better understanding of platformers, and then playing it on the system, man, it's comfortable. Like, I'm not gonna lie, to getting the controls is a little wonky, mainly because like I'm just not used to that setup. It took a set to get used to the controls, but once you get it, it's a good time. All right, number 10, BanjoKazooie for the Nintendo 64. Now, I didn't have this game growing up, but once I started to get into emulation, I ended up buying a 64 controller off of Amazon, a USB cord, and then going crazy on it with my laptop. We got caught in a snowstorm, so I ended up playing this game for like a smooth 2 weeks straight. And the crazy thing is, I didn't end up beating it, but I made it really far, and I had a lot of save states. But by the time that snowstorm was over, I just never went back to it. Having this system right here allows me to just kind of, bring back those memories and then see if we can possibly beat it. But again, it's just one of those learning curves, like with the controls, man. Like, it's just not easy at all. But once you get it figured out, that second analog stick, you're gonna be good to go. All right, number 9, Rayman 2 for the PS1. They have this version for PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and the Dreamcast. Originally, I had the Dreamcast version, but this PS1 version is pretty smooth as well, mainly because the file sizes are a little smaller. It's gonna run a little bit smoother on this system. I wouldn't say it's one of the best games, but it's on this list mainly because of nostalgic, right? Like, it's just something that I played growing up, and it's like, as far as platformers, I don't really play a lot of platformers, so if I'm gonna make a platformer list, right, of course I'm gonna add the ones that I actually played. Number 8, Super Mario Advance 2 for the Game Boy Advance. Again, this game originally came out for the Super Nintendo, but since buying handhelds, I do prefer to play the Game Boy Advance version of these games. Then particularly with the Super Mario Advance version, you get to play with Mario and Luigi, so I think that's a dope addition to the franchise, rather than just remaking the game and then just having all the extras, having all the same features. They at least gave you the ability to play with Luigi, and I thought that's pretty dope. So number 7 is Sonic Advance 2 for Game Boy Advance. again, man, like just hopping into the retro handheld platform, just really just looking around and searching through things. I'm like, damn, the Game Boy Advance really had like a lot of dope titles. I'm kind of glad I'm getting into it now because like we have IPS screens, right? Like going back and looking at some of the games that we used to play back then, I'm like, damn, like we really suffered through a life. You know, Sonic Advance, man, like it's a great addition to the series. Like I got put on to it like late last year and I've been playing it nonstop since. Definitely want to pick that up. Definitely a great game to play on this system, and it'll give you for sure hours of just hours of gaming, man. All right, number 6 is Kirby Dreamland 3 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I added this game on here mainly because it's just peaceful, right? It's one of those common games where you can just turn it on real quick, waste about 15-20 minutes, and then just go on about your day. You need a stress-free video game every now and then, and Kirby's Dreamland 3 is it. Okay, before we get into the top 5, I want to take a sec to talk about Rainey packs. Rainey packs are arcade backpacks, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a backpack that's able to play your favorite arcade games up to PlayStation 1. As you guys can see, I'll play a lot of my favorite games such as Crash Bandicoot, Tekken, Super Mario, Donkey Kong. Just pretty much everything that I played growing up. So if you guys are interested, be sure to hit that link in the bio. Get one for you, your family, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your kids, whoever, man. I guarantee they're gonna like it. Rainey packs. I probably got this when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and it was on Christmas for sure. I remember Sonic and some football game being in there, and Sonic the Hedgehog really was my introduction into video games, and it honestly set the tempo for every game that I played going forward. Because even to this day, when I pick up a game, like I start hauling ass, I'm trying to beat it. Like I'm trying to get to the end as fast as possible. Like I believe this game created so many different speed runners. Honestly, like I think I'm just one of those guys, right? I skip through everything, like trying to beat the game as quick as possible, and Sonic is to blame for that. Number 4 is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But also for the Sega. I got put on this game late last year, and I'm like, damn, like why didn't I ever play the 3rd version? And then again, it just gave me a better understanding of not only platformers but of the Sonic series as a whole. Like I put it slightly above the original because it's better, man. Like I can't even argue with it. It is a better game. It is a better game. It's a better experience, and then the graphics are better, the music are better, and then you just get more controls and variety. Definitely add that to your list. Number 3, Crash Bandicoot 2 for the PS1. This game right here pretty much defined platformer for me. You got a dope character running around, you got obstacles coming at you, you having to jump, you having to think, you just having to do it. Is like the perfect platformer in my opinion, man. And just like during that whole PS1 era, like I just remember growing up and seeing the commercials, like all you saw was just Crash Bandicoot. Like he really was like the unofficial mascot for Sony, and it was just dope, man. Like the overall gameplay, being able to spin around, jump, the animations that they gave this guy is absolutely ridiculous. And then like I think I read that they have over 120 different death animations. Like that's to just show how much time they put into creating Crash Bandicoot. All right, number 2, Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I don't know if you guys follow me on my other social media accounts, but I do talk about this game a lot because I was like, this was my introduction into the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Walking by my grandmother's bedroom, I just saw 2 monkeys running across the screen, and then she was controlling it with the coolest controller I had ever seen in my life. So when I walked by, I asked her, she was like, yo, do you want to play? And like, just kind of the rest is history. Now we have an entire channel dedicated to video games based off me just walking by her bedroom, seeing her playing Donkey Kong. So this game will forever hold a special place in my heart. Number 1 platforming game that you should play is Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, the second one is my favorite, mainly because you have Diddy Kong as the main character, so I'm able to just haul across the screen. But then you also get Dixie, and she has that ability to fly with her hair. And I just thought that was a dope and creative aspect to the game. All right, so that wraps up our top 15 list for platformers for the RG353vs. If you liked it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next video.